Have you ever been puzzled by a programming concept that just doesn't seem to make sense? If you're scratching your head over implicit declarations in C, you're not alone. Today, we're diving into this intriguing topic and clearing up the confusion. I totally get it. The idea that variables can be used without explicit declarations can feel a bit like magic. You're not the only one who finds this concept tricky. Many programmers have stumbled over this as they learn C. Let's take a closer look at the question at hand. One user recently asked about a quote from Dennis Ritchie's C book, which states that all variables must be declared before use, but mentions that certain declarations can be made implicitly by content. They want to know how this works, especially with basic data types like char, int, float, and double. So what does it mean when we say certain declarations can be made implicitly? In C, this typically refers to how the compiler can infer the type of a variable based on its usage and expressions. This can lead to some interesting scenarios, especially for beginners. And stick around. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand implicit declarations, but also see a practical example that brings this concept to life. To understand implicit declaration in C, the user should first know that C allows certain variables to be used without explicit declaration, based on their context. This typically happens in older versions of C, where a variable can be assigned a value before being declared. For example, if the user assigns a value to a variable before declaring it, the compiler may infer the variable's type based on the assigned value. Let's look at a simple example. In this case, the user assigns the integer value 10 to the variable x. The compiler interprets this as an integer type, even though x was not explicitly declared beforehand. However, it's important to note that relying on implicit declaration can lead to issues, especially in modern C programming. The user should always declare variables explicitly to avoid confusion and potential errors. In summary, while implicit declaration can occur in C, the user is encouraged to follow best practices by declaring all variables before use. This ensures code clarity and maintainability. Fun fact, the C programming language was developed in the early 1970s, and it has influenced many other languages, including C++, Java, and Python. It's amazing how foundational concepts like these still matter today. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. This user explains that in earlier versions of C, such as before the C89 standard, implicit declarations were common. For example, the return type of the main function and the argument types were not explicitly declared. They provide a code snippet demonstrating this, where the squirt function is used without a prototype. However, they note that this practice is no longer acceptable in modern C standards like C99 or C11, which require explicit declarations. The user also highlights that in modern C, you can omit the return statement in main, but they prefer to keep it for clarity. They emphasize the importance of using standard headers to ensure proper function declarations. Here's a quick tip. Always be cautious when relying on implicit declarations. While they can simplify your code, they can also lead to unexpected behaviors if you're not careful. It's best practice to declare your variables explicitly. And there you have it. You've now got a solid understanding of implicit declarations in C. Remember, while it's a neat feature, clarity in your code is key. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more programming tips and tricks.